So I, like many other watch lovers and collectors, I own too many watches. I've been collecting watches since 2019, and I feel like my collection has grown really fast. But I really don't wear most of the watches that I own. I feel like I get into little seasons of wearing one watch or a couple of watches, and then largely ignore the rest of my collection. Oh, this is such a first world problem dumb video. But I've really been considering trimming down my collection to just the ones that I wear the most. So today we're going to be looking at my 3 most worn watches, and I'll be contemplating which ones might be getting the chop. Okay, it was hard to narrow down which ones I wear the most because I find my collection kind of seasonal. So it's the winter right now, and I don't know if other people find this, but during the winter I find myself wearing dressier watches. I think it's because it's a season where I'm wearing sleeves and some of my smarter clothes, and you're not really sweating, so you can wear your leather and suede straps again. Whereas in the summer, I find myself just wanting to wear stainless steel sports watches. My Tudor Black Bay 54, Oyster Perpetual, Rolex Daytona. Anything that has a micro adjustment and just feels sporty, you know? But I've really done my best to narrow this down to the 3 most worn watches for me for this last year. So the first watch we need to talk about is my Cartier Santos Dumont. I think this one was at the forefront of my mind because I wore it a lot over the Christmas and holiday season. For those couple of weeks, I almost exclusively wore my Cartier Santos Dumont or my husband's GMT Master II, which I kind of feel like is slowly becoming my watch because I wear it so much, but he keeps insisting and making it very clear to me it's still his GMT. My Santos and my love of the Santos is kind of one of those watches that snuck up on me. For as long as I've been into watches, I've had a thing for the Santos, but it was always the Santos de Cartier, so the model with the bracelet. I just always thought it was that perfect intersection of sporty and dressy, and I still do love it. But when I went to go try on the medium Santos at the authorized dealer, I also asked, just while I was there, if I could try on the small Dumont, a watch that I respected and really liked, but nowhere near as much as the Santos de Cartier. And well, was I ever wrong. It was upon getting these on the wrist, comparing both of these and seeing how they looked and felt on my wrist, that I absolutely fell in love with the small Dumont. It snuck up on me. This was not the watch I was expecting to love, leaving the authorized dealer. I still love the medium Santos de Cartier, but for me and my 5.5-inch wrist, the Santos Dumont is perfection. I feel like we don't talk about the wearing experience and how important it is nearly enough. Watch YouTubers like me will harp on and on about water resistance, the movement, coaxial escapements. But the thing that really truly sells a watch is how it looks. How does it make you feel? The Santos de Cartier medium, specification-wise, is the obvious choice. But if it's not quite right on the wrist, you're not going to walk out of the shop with that watch. So yeah, okay, watch number 1, my Santos Dumont. Watch 2, the watch my husband is making very clear is not my watch, but it's starting to kind of feel like my watch. The GMT Master II 126710 BLRO. Now, before a certain group of very lovely men start commenting, "See, your watches aren't even yours. You're just leeching off your husband all the time. You don't even like watches." Rest assured, he's been wearing my Daytona every day. We've sized my Daytona bracelet to him and the GMT Master II to me, so a hype Rolex exchange has temporarily been made. Now, honestly, this watch is kind of too big for me, so this has a case size of 40mm, and it's a large feeling 40mm. So as I said, I have the Daytona 116500 LN, the black dial, older Daytona model, which is also listed at 40mm, but it doesn't feel anywhere near as large as the GMT Master II. Also, if you're interested for whatever reason, I have a whole video of me obsessing over the size of the Daytona because it doesn't actually measure. My calipers don't actually measure it at 40mm, so if you want to see that video and me overthinking Rolex sizing, it'll be in one of the corners now. But yeah, the Pepsi for me has just been so easy to choose and enjoyable to wear. Even though it's obnoxiously big, I kind of like that. The Jubilee bracelet is just so good, and I just feel happy whenever I wear it. I just love wearing this watch. I kind of flirted with the idea of getting the Batman or the Batgirl, so the black and blue bezel variation, but for me, I'm so in love with the Pepsi. The blue red is forever my choice. Now the last watch from my watch roll that I actually wear, drum roll please. It's honestly my most boring watch. Oh, it's the watch I'm wearing right now. My Rolex Oyster Perpetual 34. Look, I get it. It's a very boring choice, but the boringness is a feature, not a fault. So me and this watch kind of fell out of love for a bit. I got into a bad cycling accident in March, and this was the watch I was wearing, and it just kind of had some bad juju for me. But I've been wearing it again lately, and we've been falling back in love. Just such an easy watch to choose. The specifications are awesome. How can you argue with the Oyster Perpetual? That is not drinkable. Now, if you follow my channel, you know I have a lot more watches than this, and as I said, sometimes I feel like my watch preferences are kind of seasonal. So, some honorable mentions. This summer, I wore my Tudor Black Bay 54 almost every single day. For me, as someone with smaller wrists, this is the dive watch of my dreams. But I just haven't been choosing it this autumn-winter. She's not on the chopping block, but we'll see how much wear time she gets this summer. Next watch, and you've probably been seeing it in my watch roll shots, my vintage Omega Speedmaster from 1967 was getting some serious wear time this year. Now, I've already gushed about this before, but I'm gonna do it again. This is the most beautiful gift I've ever received from fellow watch lover and collector, the old watch lady, or owl. This is another one that's kind of obnoxiously big, but I love it for that. I wonder if I can drink it now. I just want to drink it. My only watch that barely got any wrist time this year, and it brings me no joy to say this, is my Tudor Black Bay 58. Sad. This has gone from being my favorite, most worn watch to hardly ever worn since I bought the Black Bay 54. I feel like this one might even be on the chopping block. I'm gonna do a final effort of wearing it every single day and see if we fall back in love. And if the magic just isn't there, we might be parting ways. I feel like I'm in marriage counseling or something. I don't know. I'm always slow to get rid of watches because, one, for me, they're little memory keepers. They always hold this sentimental place in my heart. Like my Black Bay 58, even though I'm not wearing it right now, this is the watch that got me fully into the deep end of watch collecting. I've worn this watch camping all over Scotland and the north of England. I don't know, I'd be really sad to part with it. And two, I'm just always worried that I'll regret selling one on. Like if I sold my Black Bay 58, even if I wanted it back, I wouldn't want just any old Black Bay 58, I would want that one back. You know, am I a crazy person? I think I might be too attached. But also something I always try to remind myself, our watch tastes and preferences change and evolve as we change and evolve. I don't think you have to love the same watches forever. Sometimes you do, like I think I'm gonna love the Santos forever. But sometimes you love a watch for right now, and then maybe 5 years down the line, it just isn't really for you anymore. And that's okay. So, these are my 3 most worn watches lately. I'd love to know in those comments down below, which watches are you wearing the most right now? Is there anything on the chopping block? Where do you see your collection going this next year? Subscribe if you haven't yet. And now we're gonna thank the gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful Pope tier patrons.
Ooh, funky synth, funky synth. It's the freaking funky synth to thank the Pope tier patrons. The names on the screen. Yeah, thank you, Pope tier patrons. Thank you, all tier patrons. But special thank you to the names on the screen because they're the Pope tier patrons. Number one in my heart. Yeah, well, you're all number 1 in my heart. Thank you, patrons.